Uh, it's still loading the bar on YouTube. I'm going to hit record as well.
Call to order the Town of Trumbull Water Pollution Control Authority, April 24th meeting. Margaret, can you please call the roll?
Frank Ranieri.
Here.
Tom Kelly.
Here.
Bruce Ilstein.
Here.
Peter Gelderman. John Green.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, can I have a motion and a second to approve the February 28th regular meeting minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second. I think you meant March though, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's my fault. Sorry. It's March 27th. I'm sorry.
I'll revise my motion to the right date.
Second?
Yep. Seconded.
I have a unanimous consent. Margaret, the measure passed. The meeting minutes are accepted.
Thank you.
We're going to have a new business, and Bill's going to take over. It's a change order involving the pump station. It was Margaret sent around the information today, but Bill, if you could just give us a brief overview of what the genesis of it was. I mean, the costs are pretty clear.
So the pump station was designed prior to the force main problem. So the pump station was sized for a 6-inch force main. In that regard, in order to get the flows to flow through the 6-inch force main, they had to put in a big pump, a 72 horsepower pump. It was brought to our attention that since we have the pumps already, if we increase the size of the force main to an 8-inch and change from soft starts, which soft starts let the pump start, pump, turn off, start, pump, turn off, and it lets them stop and start a little slower so they don't burn out. We could, if we change to VFDs, variable frequency drives, we can ramp down the hertz on the pumps down to like 43 hertz, which takes a lot less kilowatts per hour to operate this pump, and it would pump continuously at a kind of up and down level as needed. It wouldn't go on and off, but the savings would be in kilowatts. Currently we're paying 20 cents a kilowatt. I have a breakdown if I can share my screen. And let me zoom it up a little bit so everybody can see it.
You're going to have to do better than that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be bigger than that.
Yeah, I
That's
just
small.
gotta give it a minute so I can.
There you go. Keep going.
How's that?
Yep, that's good.
So typically we run about 203,000 gallons a day, or a yearly volume of 74.37 million gallons. Cost of electricity is 20 cents a kilowatt hour, and the baseline cost now is 14,798 per year. This is with a 6-inch force main. If you see baseline with the DR11 and the option 6-inch DR17, the DR17 is the wall thickness of the pipe. The lower the number, the thicker the wall. Where did I get that? Yes. The kilowatt hours are under the savings in kilowatts per year. The DR17 is actually has a thinner wall, but it's a little bigger in diameter than the DR11. And that's what's giving you that little bit of a savings. But going to option 2 and 3, you know, the savings in kilowatts, 37,555 or 39,785 kilowatts per year equates to 7,500 to 7,900 a year in savings.
And Bill,
The
what's the capital
VFD
investment?
cost. What's that?
I'm
So
sorry,
I
what
think
was the
that's coming
capital
up.
investment for that?
So the estimate for the work for the change order is 52,000.
I got it here, Bill. $52,271.79.
Yeah, so if you look down here and the difference in capital cost is taking into account the size difference of pipe. Here, the difference between the 6-inch and the 8-inch adds it up to 65,000. And the payback would be in eight to almost 9 years.
And is there a useful life?
The useful life of the useful life of the station is probably going to be around for the next 50 years.
So definitely a good investment.
Yeah, I mean, we're figuring at 20 cents a kilowatt, and that's only going to go up. So the payback could actually be less. So the idea here is we already have the pumps, we already have the soft starts. We'd have to order the VFDs, and hopefully we could reuse the soft starts at another station. But in order to get this orchestrated because we have started the Old Town Station finally, we want to get these ordered and have this all done before they actually go live.
So these VFDs are going into that station that's about to start construction.
Yes, is in the Old Town Station on Old Town Road.
And VFD stands for again? Variable frequency something?
drives.
Yep, okay.
And we won't.
So
we
in
won't
essence, what you're
test you
saying
all.
is this will operate at a slower but steady rate, and that it can vary the rate to ensure that it's continually operating without the sort of latency and surge costs of starting and stopping.
Right. So there's a significant savings in kilowatts.
Is there any difference in reliability with not doing starting and stopping? I mean, are we likely to get a longer life out of these pumps as a result?
I would think so, because they're not
Well,
starting and stopping any electric motor is really where all the wear and tear on the motor is. Once it's running, it's running. You know.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
But most large pumps on infrastructure have variable frequency drives, in my experience. And I don't remember the formula from electrical principles on how by adjusting the hertz you can use less power to produce the same flow. But
so this takes it from like a 72 horsepower motor down to like a 25 horsepower motor.
so they're a lot more efficient.
Yes.
It's you could use a rheostat, but that would destroy the pump. A rheostat is like a dimmer on your light switch.
Right.
But anyway, sounds like a pretty good investment.
Yeah, I think in the long run it'll pay off.
Seems like a fundamentally better design.
Yeah, Arcadis, the original thought was that, well, we're not gonna replace the force main. Otherwise we would have done this all in one shot, but, we didn't have a reason to replace the force main when the design was done. That
Right.
didn't come to light until afterwards, after the project had already been started.
And then once we were designing the force main, the pumps were already bought and on site, so we couldn't buy new pumps. And we actually did look at buying new pumps instead of putting the drives in, but this was the better option.
Okay, I mean, 8 to 9 years is sort of on the margin, but it's like I said, it sounds like a fundamentally better design for long-term viability of the station. So
I think, John, you're right. The wear and tear, the VFDs also, and Christine, correct me if I'm wrong, but they actually extend the life of the motors.
Less
You're
stop
not-
starts, yeah.
Yep.
all right,
So-
then I think it makes sense.
Anybody else have any questions before I call for a vote? With that, can I have a motion to accept the change order as submitted?
So moved.
I have a second?
I'll do it.
Thanks. And unanimous consent? Okay. Margaret, the motion passed. So that takes care of new business. Bill, I have one question on new business. We approved a couple, I think 2 meetings ago, to have WSP, I think, do the study of the E. coli. Is that underway
that's-
or do they have to
Yes, it
wait?
is.
Okay. So we'll have an answer on that soon, or?
I hope so. I know they've been they're testing and doing the background testing and all that.
All right. So now we're gonna go to old business, and Bill, can you give us an update on the budget? I saw that it was in the local paper, the budget.
Yes, so the budget has been passed at the finance committee level and is going to I take that back. Hasn't been has been presented at the WPCA, has been presented at the finance committee, and it still needs to be voted on, I believe, later this week or next week.
Yeah, the article has said sometime soon,
Yeah.
for the full council to vote on it.
I believe the full council votes in May, beginning of May sometime.
You are correct. The finance committee is having their public hearing tomorrow night, followed by their recommendation vote to the full council, and full council will vote on May 9th.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
So with that, we'll go on to the next old business, which is the Old Town and Reservoir Avenue Pump Station, which
We are
We were just-
underway at Old Town. We are working on electrical. They've mobilized and we actually have workers there every day now, which is a good thing because we got to get this station done.
and it's the same contractor who did the Reservoir Avenue one, right?
Yes, it is. They were both put out in the same bid.
And the Reservoir Avenue one is closed out, right?
Yes. It's been slow going. They've had electrical problems that, we've talked about before.
Can you give us an update on the force main?
I know maybe Christine can.
Sure. So, with the discussion that we just had, earlier about the pump changes, kind of married to that, if you saw, was a change in a pipe size. So we got through that exercise and know how we're going to handle that from a contract perspective. And so we just reconnected with Kevin, your purchasing agent, to get this on the street, we were at a ready point. We just have to change some dates. You know, that was about, 3 weeks ago or something, and then publish the project to bid. So just an exercise of coordinating some administration efforts, and we'll have a bid date, I would say, within a week. And or on the street within a week. It will be about a 6-week bidding period, likely. And then, we're in end of April, May, June. I would say by the end of June, you will have a contractor selected, and then we could move forward with, signing him up, getting an agreement in place, shop drawings, etc.
And this is just pipe, right, Christine?
Just pipe. A lot of pipe. We're trying to stay in the existing trench. You do have ledge out there. So recall that this is deep, so we're bringing it up in grade as much as we can.
How many feet?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. Yeah. 5,000, 6,000. Do you know, Bill?
2,650.
2,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have that on the spreadsheet. Yep.
Can I ask Bill or Christine, has anybody seen the bid package yet?
Yeah,
Uh,
we've gone through the bid package. We're
Okay,
just waiting to find the final numbers.
and we advertising for a general contractor?
That
Yes.
does sewer work. Yep.
Concept? Yeah, okay,
Yep. So the DEP also had the design and approved it.
right.
Bill has seen it. Bill sent it to Bridgeport. I don't think we got feedback from them. So I
Why don't we
have.
go- Are we going through Bridgeport?
Well,
You're on
some of the pipe of Miranda's between Bridgeport and Trumbull
In the road?
in the road.
Yep.
I mean, I happen to have the drawings open if you want to see any of it, but
They'll wait and complain after the job is done.
Well, we're gonna be paving the whole road when we're all done. So I
Right.
mean, from the pump station all the way to where we terminate, which make it a much better road.
That wouldn't take much.
Yeah,
Who owns that road, Bridgeport or Trumbull?
both.
so both police departments are going to be involved.
Yeah, just to make life a little more complicated.
Are they sharing in the cost of repaving or is that on us?
That's all on us.
So this is a
Really
pretty
needs it.
big job then.
It is.
Okay. And what about supply chain risk? Is there anything with the pipe? It's not ductile iron, right?
No,
We're using plastic.
That's readily available. I take it.
I believe so.
Yeah, the delays in this stuff, we've seen those come down in time. Sometimes it's manhole covers. We don't really have a lot of valving to deal with. So fairly straightforward.
Which contractor did our job in the Beersley Park?
Burns,
Burns, is he gonna bid?
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, all right.
So we should have, like Christine said, we should have something to approve in our June meeting, right?
Yes,
would
a
think so.
contractor. Yeah.
Yeah. 6 weeks. If it goes out to the street in the week or two, yeah. I
Might
just
be
don't want to I don't want to miss June and have it roll into July.
Right. Providing the apparent low bidder, the apparent low successful bidder, the qualified is somebody that we're familiar with, and there's nothing wrong with the bid numbers and the math and the things that happen sometimes with bids. If it's straightforward, the turnaround time to opening the bids and evaluating them and putting a letter together to the town is short. Again, as long as there's no complications.
There's always a newbie that's bidding. They gotta,
Right.
that could slow it down a little bit, but anyway. Anything else to add, or have we, sounds like we've addressed it all.
I think we're good.
Okay, I have a question for Attorney Nugent, and that is, whatever happened with the Merritt Parkway crossing and the easements and all that?
I think we're still waiting for the
Christine.
survey, right, Christine?
Yeah, so we did get the survey. We did get a draft. We reviewed it. We sent it back, and we just got the actual file. So we're starting to lay out the concept of where the pipe, the jacking or the boring will happen, contacting agencies to get their input, et cetera.
Who's involved? DEP and the Merritt Parkway and
Yep.
DOT?
Yes, and the Merritt Parkway, the special commission of that Merritt Parkway, and we have a little bit more floodway in there than we didn't realize we had floodway in there. So, another level related to DEP, but something that we do on a routine basis. It's mostly I would think the Merritt and DOT that's where all the work is, right? Under them, that will have the most input as to how we get under the road.
And you're going down far enough that any public utilities that run along highways wouldn't enter into anything, right?
Correct.
Because it's gonna be pretty deep.
Because we don't know what's running alongside the Merritt. Yeah. Okay. So that's moving along, but it's going to be a while,
Correct.
because then once you get the final layout, then the easements have to be negotiated between, I don't know how many parties there are, but several, I guess.
Right.
Right. Anybody else want to address anything new before we sign off?
I do.
Okay.
And coincidentally, the Planning and Zoning Commission is meeting at 7:30 tonight for the Trumbull project for the apartments. Bill, are you attending that, Bill?
I am right after this one.
Okay. So could someone remind me, if you can remember, when we approved their connection and gave them 7 months to start construction?
January 24.
Okay. Well, I don't think they're going to make it. Not by
Well, they have to be
July.
reminded. So I know Jim Cardone has drafted some of what he considered for the approval.
Yeah.
And
It
that
were the
was
conditions today.
that was one of the conditions.
Oh,
Do we
yeah.
know why Jim, do we know the answer to that?
Why they're not going to be ready?
Yes.
They're just moving very slowly. I mean, they come in at the last minute with all their drawings and whatever else. And, Bill's got like 24 hours maybe to review it all before they go in to present. So I don't know what the commission's even going to do with it tonight. They may decide that they need more detail on something or other. I don't know.
No, I'm referring to the 7 months. And if they're not going to make that threshold, I mean, they've known that since January. Do we know why they won't meet that 7 month deadline?
Well, no, I don't specifically, Tom, but my assumption is that they weren't going to start that unless they got their project going. I think we made it perfectly clear that this is an independent problem that they have to deal with, irrespective of what happens with their construction project down there. And
I don't recall, but I think that they could do the pump, whatever they're going to put in there, without the building. Make
yeah,
things a little more difficult. They may have to drive some sheeting around it to protect it during construction, but they certainly can start.
Yeah, I mean, I started at 3 months. So I told them you got to start construction, and we ended up at 7 through some negotiations. They wanted much longer. So don't be surprised.
Just a side note,
Looking for an extension.
one of the recent storm events where we had a lot of flow, their office called here and said they think there's a clog in their line. They didn't have a clog in their line. The capacity was taken up by the Pequannock.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that pipe is severely compromised and they got to deal with it no matter what they do with their building down there. So, it's the end of April. They got, 10 weeks to start construction on that.
Could they do some temporary measures, Bill, like a liner with the UV light hardening and all that, whatever they do for that?
So the inflow is so hard that they're gonna have a hard time doing whatever they're gonna do.
I see. So that's what they'd have to put dewatering in before they could do that.
So, I'm just mentioning that, give people a little heads up on the timing on this because I don't know, they may get approved tonight, they may not, it may get deferred. I don't know what's gonna happen. So
But P and Z is aware of the condition, right?
I don't know if the members are, the town attorney advising them definitely is.
Right.
And
Yes.
Bill is obviously, so.
Yep.
Right.
That's all I have.
Okay, no other apartments planned in the near future, I guess, that we know of.
Well, there's always somebody talking about something in town, but nothing specific at the moment.
So then, the reason why I broached that is, Bill, that brings up a general question is, this system was designed for so many residents, and there are residents in town that are still awaiting to be hooked up. And there's, I guess, Christine, you once said about 30% of the town was never planned to be hooked up. And I just wonder, do we have capacity? We keep adding 300, 400, 300. I don't know how many apartments we're up to now, and it seems to be functioning fine. But the question is there capacity with all these apartments or the next apartment that comes in? Mindful of the fact that, in my opinion, the homes that for that contract that we deferred because of the COVID supply chain issues and cost, I think they take priority, and we should make sure that we have enough capacity for that. So I don't know what's involved with doing that study, but I think I'm just concerned we may be near the end, and we need to make sure that I don't know how many homes. Christine, would you know offhand how many homes are scheduled per the original master plan to be hooked up onto that sewer that aren't hooked up yet?
So there was work done a little while back when there were the conversations with Bridgeport and Flows, right, and planning to move forward in whatever capacity. Well, I think you're referring to what we call Contract 5, and there's multiple contracts in there that the town had designed, but ultimately decided not to move forward with. And that was because of, I think at the time, costs.
Right.
And that, if I remember correctly, is the last area of town to be planned for sewers. The infill is a different number. We have that number somewhere. In other words, where there's sewers that people are not hooked up to, but have the potential to hook up, that's another number. Certainly your high density development, what happens when these plans come into Bill is he has us review them for, conformance with requirements for construction, but also we are looking at general capacity of the pipeline downstream of where it's hooking up. So that's a segmented look at things. We did do at one point like the skeleton of your system. We modeled it for capacity, like the bigger piping and the interceptors. So between those two looks at your system, the model or when a development comes in and you're turning 3 homes into 200 apartments, it's for instance, for Reservoir Avenue, remember a section of pipe was upsized. That was because of reviewing the capacity of the pipeline in that area. The other half of that question, I think, is, as you add homes, you're adding flow to Bridgeport and you're approaching your that whole discussion that we've had over the past years related to contract. On an average
Well,
basis, you're fine.
I'm not so concerned about contract. I mean, that is definitely something to be concerned about. I'm concerned about engineering capacity. Are we nearing capacity? And if so, we need to know that. And I don't know, are we at 90%? Are we at 80%? I mean, can we add 1,000 more units? I mean, apartments typically don't put out as much flow as homes. A 4-bedroom home is going to put out a lot more flow. I mean, from a code perspective.
Right.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
We do have something basic already in that you have for reference. We'd have to dig it up. There has generally not been a capacity concern, but every pipe segment is different. So it's not, you can't globally say the whole system can handle it or the whole system can't. We look at it
Right.
at a piece by piece basis.
but I'm
Yeah, I
talking
think
about
the implied question is, are there any potential bottlenecks coming up that, if we added capacity in certain areas, would that be a problem?
Yeah, we could look at what we've done so far. We can identify if there's a need to model like down to a deeper level and get those answers.
Yeah, I guess I'm more concerned about, I guess the two major discharge, there's 2 points of discharge in the Bridgeport, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so-
are they near capacity or are they not near capacity?
The Beardsley is fine because you just upgraded that, right? So your pumps were designed to handle what flow is coming in there and what's anticipated in general. Your other side, what we call the gravity side, is Sunnydale, Leland. I don't know, Bill, have you ever had any impacts over there that gives you a concern? Maybe you have a big pipe.
Nothing I've noticed. I mean, typically it just runs 1.5 million gallons a day.
Right. And that's the pipe, isn't that the pipe that's under the mall or near the mall? It's a
Yep.
pretty big pipe, yeah.
And you checked that not too far back when they put in those apartments, I remember. And there was plenty of capacity. All right, I was just questioning if maybe I'll make a request to Bill to maybe dig up that old study, but I just don't want to get caught where, we have an issue, but it sounds like working from the 2 choke points backwards, we're okay on the main lines. But there may be an individual road with an 8-inch gravity line that may have to get upgraded if somebody wants to put in 20 units or something like that. And that
Right.
would be on them,
Right.
I assume. All right. Well, with that, does anybody else have anything? Well, with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Can I have a
So
second?
moved.
Second,
Can I have a vote for unanimous consent? Motion passed. We'll see y'all in a month. Thank you.